Hey everybody, Keisha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin,
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jay Treaty. My father and I were exposed in the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city house or state without permission or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on, we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations. And thank you for all the support. And we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. Today we have with a returning guest, Marisa Simonetti, who is now running for U.S. Congress in the state of Minnesota. You want to kind of reintroduce yourself to our audience?
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. Yeah, just like Dale said, my name is Marisa Simonetti. I'm running for U.S. Senate in Minnesota, and that election is in 2026. However, it's a long way to go until then, so you have to start connecting with people and getting out there.
All right. So, what is it that made you decide to run in 2026 for Senate? Because I know you ran for county commissioner in Hennepin County in the last election. So, what's the decision to go federal?
Yeah, so in this, I kind of got torpedoed over during the summer, which I think with any candidate with any sort of spicy whatever, it's you have to know it's par for the course. But what did really well when I ran in the special election came out of nowhere, and within a couple of weeks, only lost by 1,000 votes to a known legislator. That energy of that presentation people want and people receive very well. So I took some time after losing in on November 5th to shore up my issues and move forward to run for U.S. Senate. And you know when you just feel in your spirit that a certain direction is the way to go? That's how I feel. This is the way I'm meant to go.
All right. So, that's good. So, when you went and ran the last time, you ran on a shoestring budget. But running for Senate is going to be substantially more money. But how do you plan to overcome the challenges of the large costs that it costs to run for Senate?
Um, That's a good, I don't see it as a problem. One thing I know with who I am as a person, whatever I need always shows up for me. So I believe that every resource that I need, every support that I need will come to me. And I, that's been my experience with life in all my 31 years.
All right. So, the next question, are you going to run as an independent or are you affiliated with a party? Independent?
That's a good question. There's still a lot of time, and I'm not totally sure yet. I have some concerns with our Republican Party here. Especially, there's been a lot of, I mean, since day one, there's been so much internal fighting and torpedoing their own people. And so I definitely have a lot of concerns. There was this recent kind of semi local scandal, so I have to move forward in kind of the best way that serves the best. And that's really the focus of my campaign. I was in a viral video handing out food to the homeless recently. And it just made me see how much people really warm to doing good and staying away from any drama. People don't want the drama, right? Save that for reality TV. Politics is about doing positive things and good. So that's my focus and what I'm keeping my attention on.
So, who's just for, I mean, because not everybody is aware of what's going on in Minnesota and some of the audiences in Canada, who is the person that you would be running against that's the incumbent in that area?
So the incumbent actually is not, Tina Smith is announced she's not running. So there is a opening there. And what was really interesting, actually the night before, I felt in my spirit I had to make a hard critical choice, right? I had to say no to something and I knew undeniably it was the right thing to do. And I kind of wrestle, you know, when you wrestle internally with yourself over a situation, but ultimately I said my truth. I spoke to the situation. I was like, I cannot proceed this direction. This is not in alignment with my long-term vision. Less than 12 hours later, Tina Smith announced that she was not going to be running again. So I pay attention to little things like that as confirmation that regardless of outcome, election, votes, for me personal, my life journey of service and contribution, it's going the right direction, right? It's the right choice.
So, kind of circling back to what you said about going and feeding the homeless and so forth, you want to touch a little bit more on that type of thing as to how this would translate into how you would serve your constituents.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know that we were really filming a video. I knew we were going to film something, but I didn't know to the scale that it was. I thought I was just helping my friend who has a pizza restaurant hand out some pizzas, and we're going and we're having a good time, and he texted me that morning, do you want to come hand out pizza to the homeless? And I thought, oh, that would be a nice thing to do today, let's go. So we go and we're just da 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 2 weeks later, the video hits and people are reaching out to me. Marissa, I saw you in the pizza video. I saw you. I was like, what? And then I go look, and it's this guy, Josh Little J. His whole channel is about feeding the homeless and giving back, and it's huge. I think it has 9 million followers on TikTok. So this speaks to how much people want to, internally, they want to give back and be a contribution, and there's a lot of space for that.
All right, so that's good. I mean, you want to have people that want to help and give back to their community and so forth. I know we've had previous conversations about this. And so, what is it that you see in your community that you want to address going to Washington if elected?
Yeah, Minneapolis does have a large homeless population. That is one thing, but the role of U.S. Senate is pretty large, right? Their agriculture, their education. So they touch a lot of different issues. But when you come, no matter what the issue is, from the perspective and lens of service, and that's kind of the glasses that you're wearing, regardless of the particular issue, that intention touches everything. So, whatever the particular issue is, the goal is to serve the highest and best good.
All right. And so, what is it that you're going to be your policies? What are the things? Because I know you had a list that you had on your on X when I saw when you decided to run. You want to kind of give a rundown of those things for the viewers to see or to hear?
Yeah, I have not put together my US Senate website yet, and there's a particular reason for that. I think what I see a lot of times is people come in and they tell people, this is what you want, this is how it should be. And the date until filing, there's still 14 months. So, in this next 14 months, what I'm doing is getting in the community, listening, and integrating all of those things into what might be the best path forward to address the particular issues that are always going to be there.
Okay, so you're gonna go out and talk to people and get an idea of what they want. Are you gonna do like town halls, that kind of stuff?
I've been out talking, just going, doing positive, constructive activities, and just making genuine connections with people and building relationships through shared interests of things that people find fun and make Minnesota beautiful, great, whether it's Minnehaha Falls or we've got art museums. I went roller skating with my son a couple weekends ago. It's just the simple things that you do that are day to day and kind of focus away from the negativity towards meaningful connection.
Okay, and so going into Senate and so forth, that's a large responsibility. But would you be making connections with the local politicians? Because I mean, would that be something that you would do?
Yeah, well, the day I announced like 3 days ago that I was running for U.S. Senate on the 28th. And on that day, I sent my press release to both the Republican and the Democrat congressional districts, all 8 of them. And additionally, every single member that's currently elected, I reached out to all of them asking for their support, whether that's both Tina and Amy Klobuchar. So it's letting people know I'm going to be here in Minnesota for the long term, and I'd like to find what we're going to have to do is find a way to work constructively together. So that was part of my game plan. I had the list the morning of. I ran down my list.
So, just out of curiosity, why politics? I mean, it's you know, it's not the most glamorous thing to do, or the easiest, let's say.
I am the most glamorous thing in politics.
Yes, but I'm talking about the overall field of politics. It's not really that great.
Um, yeah, I actually agree with you. And part of my campaign and why I'm taking the approach I am and focusing on positive, constructive community things is to lead the way in shifting from some of these endless arguing spirals to doing meaningful things that uplift your spirit, uplift your energy. The issues are always going to be there, but we have to live and find joy in the meantime.
All right. So yes, because I mean, politics is I mean a dirty business sometimes, and they don't necessarily run things based on what people's policies are. There's a lot of character assassination and all of this kind of stuff, and I know that you've experienced this before. So what are you gonna do now on a national scale, knowing that people are probably gonna do the same thing, right?
Well, there's nothing else to torpedo with me. I mean, I'm 100% free, and I've also looked at myself and evaluated the things that I could improve and do better to represent Minnesota. And I've taken the steps to do those things and make the changes in myself. Finished my bachelor's degree, updated a ton of things, put my life in order, repaired a bunch of relationships. So yeah, I still will always, I'm a formidable force. Like, you do not want to tangle with Marisa Simonetti if you know what's good for you.
So you're challenging all the people and saying don't do it, right?
Well,
Um
they can try, but there's nothing new to say. So it just looks foolish and ranting at this point because they're irrelevant issues and it just looks corny.
yes, but I mean at the end of the day a lot of times people just like I mean to push certain things in the media. A lot of people are, they do what the TV tells them to and so forth. And so are how are you going to, sort of circumvent that, because at some point somebody's going to grind an axe because they may not have necessarily the right policies, and they're going to go for the low blows.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of time to consider how to mitigate those particular things, and I'm not gonna. I've they're dealt with. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, so you've taken steps to prepare yourself in the event that something happens. Fair enough to say.
Yeah, it's getting ahead of things and just being smart, right? Like it's being smart. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want your people to know about you? What makes you different from everyone else?
So what makes me different from else? One, I'm someone who can problem solve absolutely anything. And two, what you're looking for, because in any sort of leadership, is someone who can work well with others, who can problem solve, because you never know what's going to happen, or the future is uncertain, and so you need someone who's comfortable in the face of uncertainty. And ultimately, you're voting and you're believing in that particular person. So, do you feel that that person is coming from the heart, that they're devoted to the mission of service, or do they feel that someone just is self-interested for themselves, and that's what the people get to decide?
Okay, so where exactly is what areas does your congressional district cover for people who are not familiar with that?
Yeah, so I live in CD3 in Minnesota, but there are 8 congressional districts in all of Minnesota. So yeah, I'm running to represent all 8. Or no, there's only some part of them, right? But it's Minnesota, so it would be split between me and Amy Klobuchar. She has part, I've got part.
And so would you be on the western half, the northern half, the southern half, just for I mean, some people like in Canada have no idea about these congressional districts.
Yeah. I think we would have to pop up a map to show exactly because the lines are drawn sort of like this. So, yeah, but if you go to the Minnesota website, you can see exactly who Tina Smith represents, put in your address, and if it's Tina Smith, then you'd have the opportunity to vote for me.
Oh, okay. And so how many other people are running? Do you have any idea what your competition's like?
So, I know on the conservative side, there's 2 gentlemen who've officially announced. I think there's one woman who's being floated, and but right, I actually am not even focused on the competition right now. I'm focused on being the best version of myself, and the cards will shake out how they're meant to. So I kind of don't care. I'm just gonna bring the most incredible, undeniably correct product to the marketplace. And same thing as with business. When you bring the best product with the best marketing, you're set.
Okay, so why tell people like succinctly, I guess, in the next like minute or two, why should people vote for Marisa Simonetti in this next upcoming election?
Yeah, join me on the next 14 months' venture. Pay attention to what I do. There's a lot of people who just talk. So watch for the next 14 months the action that's taken, and I think the action will tell everybody what they need to know.
Okay. So are you willing to meet with groups in your area to hear their concerns?
Yeah, I put on a part of my list of things to do as part of this campaign. One is to do something that make a plan that's sustainable. You can easily burn out very quickly and be doing all kinds of things. So I will be meeting with people who are in alignment, right, with a similar vision, similar values, and doing so in a sustainable way over the next 14 months until May 28th, 2026. When I file, then I will really turn up the heat.
Okay, because I know that I mean some of the things that you talked about from when you run as the county commissioner. You think that some of those things you'd be able to translate over to a federal level?
Yeah, a lot of people still voted for me for even though I got torpedoed, there's a lot of people who were able to really see past things because no one is perfect. And I'm really confident that going forward, the energy will really carry because there's a lot of people who are good on paper who run for office. They're everything right on paper, but they don't win. And then there's other people who are coming from the heart and they have a mission and they have a purpose, and people feel that. People feel when you have a mission and purpose and you truly care. I mean, you're not a perfect person, but you actually care. So that's that's what I'm focused on.
Okay, so what would you bring to Washington that would be different from the status quo?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely look different than most politicians.
I'll give you
There's
that one. You're not in a wheelchair, and you've got all of your teeth, and your hair is still the same color that it was, right?
Yeah, I'm unconventional. I'm something different. I'm something fresh. But currently, we have two female senators. So Minnesota really loves the feminine touch and energy. And you know that because that's who they voted for. So, in some ways, you got to respect what the people want and not make too many radical changes. They're liking what they're getting. They've been pretty happy. Had Tina not continued to run, or had she continued to run, she probably would win. So giving people what they want.
Okay, so you're gonna listen to your constituents and decide to go ahead and actually represent them, which doesn't seem to happen very much anymore, right? Like people vote for one guy, they go in there and they do something completely different, and it's like, well, why did I do that? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be good for the people. So, I mean, before we kind of wrap up here, what you want to say to people? I mean, here's your, I guess, 2 minutes to get on your soapbox.
Yeah. I really just look forward to focusing on the things that make Minnesota such a beautiful place to live and enhancing those things and making sure that they're stewarded well and we continue to bring, right? I moved here to Minnesota in 2013 and it was the beautiful things here that attracted me and have kept me here. So just preserving the things that make Minnesota an incredible place to for me to have more kids someday, for other people in the community, for businesses, and we got to have a reason to stick out this cold weather. Oh no, the sound cut out.
Oh, I love talking to myself. I do this all the time. I mean, it just happens. All right. So everybody go check out Marisa. You can see what she has there. Her links will be in the description. If you're watching on Rumble or on Facebook, you can check her out on X and so forth, and all of that good stuff. So we will close here with a prayer, and we'll see you guys again next time. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. And Lord, I ask of you this day to watch over Marisa as she goes to run for her office, and help her that she would do the things that you've called her to do. And watch over all the men and the women that are trying to make this country better and trying to make this world a better place, to rebuild their families, their churches, their community, and their nation. And that we could have some sense of common sense come back to the land is my prayer. In Jesus' name.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Hey everybody, Keisha here. So today I want to talk to you a little bit real quick about Tina Peters' case. So on April 9th, 2024, myself, Maureen Steele, and Ann Vandersteel all went into the state of Colorado to file a petition for redress of grievances. Tina Peters actually also signed this petition. In fact, she actually had exculpatory evidence related to the election fraud that was outlined in the petition that was not allowed to go into the court. The petition was not brought to the floor, and as a result, Tina Peters was unlawfully imprisoned. My father, Dale Richardson, was actually tortured in the state of Colorado to suppress his evidence of treason against the United States, which was based on improper engineering controls which allowed for the spread of the COVID-19 virus, which was likewise created at Wuhan by Peter Daszak and the EcoHealth Alliance with the pathogen, which were handed over to the Chinese by the Winnipeg Biolabs. This created the circumstances for widespread election fraud. My father Dale and I are friends of Tina Peters, who has been politically persecuted for standing up for the liberty of all Americans. And she, as a sister in Christ, has been persecuted like I have for standing up for the liberty of all people. In the state of Colorado, women and Christians are being persecuted on monumental levels, and I'm calling for everyone to stand up for Tina Peters in every way possible, including using the Karis Project action plan to compel the state government to put the petition for redress of grievance to the floor so that Tina Peters can petition before the state house that belongs to the people. And if Colorado continues to deny a Republican form of government, we will implore that Congress and President Donald J. Trump initiate Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, which guarantees a Republican form of government, to the states, and use that just power to intervene and provide what the Constitution has ordained. The time is upon us to come together and stand united as people, and let the world know that we stand together to preserve this perfect union for all Americans and our posterity. That is why, y'all already know, I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Ciao, guys.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. Sorry, they have this cord so you can't really see me when I'm trying to talk to you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's how they like to do it. I didn't know I had a call, and they've had us locked in for like several days, so I haven't been able to shower or get looking decent at all.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So they really just kind of gave you the short end of the stick.
Yeah, it's just more cruel and unusual punishment for no reason, really.
I see that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, what's been going on? I guess this is madness, right?
Yeah, I somehow need some advocate or something on the outside because they're just breaking every law there is and just ruthless. Like even for their alleged bench warrant, I should have been brought to court within 72 hours, and instead they're just trapping me in here for 8 days.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna talk to some people because what's going on here, it's
Yeah.
absolutely out of control. Like
It's really bad, targeted individual gang stalking type stuff. Here, there we go. That's better.
yeah, like I mean, you ended up going to your you went to go and see your current husband,
Yeah.
and he had tried to put you into a mental health facility before.
he's like losing it himself because of all of this. And I will say, like, the gang stalking and stuff has gotten kind of bad, so it's probably very uncomfortable for him as a federal employee to be dealing with all this. So I'm trying to give him some grace about it, because it's not right, and he doesn't deserve to be on the other side of this either. But at a certain point, like, if your wife is being targeted, you can't just sort of abandon her either.
No, I mean, but I just want like people understand like what ended up, like he did try to put you in the mental institution regardless of how he got pressured to do it. This was what happened, right? This is the outcome.
Yeah, well, so he, I guess, had probably something to do with whatever weird arrest this is right now. It's just, I don't know if he did or not. I can't say for sure, but I do know that I'm not being treated fairly and that this is cruel and unusual punishment, that even for the alleged offense, sorry, they just have to do a lot of Wi-Fi construction in here today in a place where nobody has cell phones or computers.
I guess they need it for the employees, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, they have something going on where they need some sort of Wi-Fi to be updated. Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is that you went to go and meet him for lunch or something like that?
Yeah, for lunch.
And then within 10 minutes of being there, what happened?
Within 10 minutes of being there, the United States Marshals police in their costumes came up and claimed that I was under arrest. And then a probation officer was with them. And so I demanded to see whatever alleged warrant they had. As soon as they got me to their unmarked vehicle, they showed me their alleged warrant on which had no signature from any judge. So I immediately said, this is unsigned. This is not a valid warrant. They got dead quiet then. They stopped speaking at all then. They went silent. They wouldn't state their names. They wouldn't give me their badges. They wouldn't do anything after I said that. They just proceeded to kidnap me, put me in their vehicle, and drive me here to the jail.
So you're being held in a jail without warrant. No signature on the warrant. Like
no, there was no signature. They knew there was no signature. They showed it to me on their phone, like trying to like prove that they had a warrant. And that I said, there is no signature from any judge on that whole. There's actually no signature on it at all. And they were like dead silent.
So you have no signature on a warrant. They come in, so they kidnap you.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in jail in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is insane. Like, people need to understand that when someone's sitting here in jail,
yeah,
on a warrant for what? Like, there's no judge's signature. Like, there's nothing.
There's not even any reason for them to issue it at all because I was at the court date. I did appear specially on behalf of the defendant because I am self-representing, and I was there, and even the order says defendant present. And so the alleged warrant, there's no basis for it in general.
So you end up going in and going to court. You appeared by phone.
Yes.
Then they put out a bench warrant for you, but there's no signature on it. And then
Nope.
Now they brought you back to jail. But what was happening beforehand you were in jail before. How long were you in jail before?
10 months. I already did 10 months on an offense that carries a maximum of like 6 months. So they're already double charging. They're like having me do double, triple. I think this would be triple jeopardy now for the same charge that I'm innocent of. They've now had me incarcerated, triple jeopardy. And also the first alleged offense, they never had a signed warrant for that either, which the attorney general admitted in the writ of habeas, and the sheriffs lost the default judgment against me, and yet they're still behaving unlawfully.
And so this all started because you were trying to protect your kids from abuse.
My son and daughters, yes.
Yes, and with your ex, who ended up putting you in a bad situation, you were in an abusive situation, and now you get arrested.
Yeah.
He's walking free, and your kids are still potentially in that situation.
Oh, they are in that situation. I shared recently the messages sent from my daughter to other friends and family begging for help. Can somebody please help her? She's scared. She's terrified. Please, she needs her mother. This is still happening. And still this alleged district attorney, who's really an actress, I'm not really sure who she is prohibiting my daughter from being able to speak to her mother, prohibiting me from being able to speak to my daughter. They're still pursuing these retaliatory charges. They have no delegation of authority. They have already been served a cease and desist, a temporary restraining order. They've lost writs of habeas, and they're still pursuing this regardless. And now I'm going through a triple jeopardy, punishment and retaliation.
So you're trying to protect your children, and they're punishing you.
Yes.
By putting you in jail. Like, this is kidnapping. This is not even, there's no lawful authority to do this, so they're straight up kidnapping you, putting you in prison. And
for something that even if let's say that I or any other equal woman was guilty of, they would get a maximum of like 3 months. 3 months. And I've done almost a full year for this charge.
But the whole thing is that your family is being harassed.
Yes.
Your marriage is now, like, you don't know where that is because of God knows what. But the whole situation is now you're stuck in a situation. Your kids are in an abusive situation. You're being punished. You're being cut off from the support that you had. And this is, like, I mean, what are they asking for in court? When's your next court date?
My court date is on Thursday at 9 a.m. It's from the same judicial officer that has a personal relationship with the district attorney that we have evidence of, that we've disclosed. He has been extremely retaliatory towards me. He denied bail when I had no record and no reason to be denied bail. He laughs in my face. He threatens me. It's just a very, I find it embarrassing a little bit for the county of San Diego.
And what court specifically is this taking place in?
Well, they moonlight as the Superior Court of California County of San Diego, but their paperwork and their file stamps say the San Diego Superior Court. So I'm not entirely sure what jurisdiction they're actually applying here. But I have appealed this case, and I have removed it to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. So that's where the case should be. Why these courts and this judicial officer and this district attorney are continuing this harassment, even though the case is under appeal, I'm not sure.
Because if they pull a case like this into the federal court is very public.
Yeah.
Right? And so if they begin to look at what they're doing on a federal level, they have to do something about it, because people will be like, what is going on? Well,
it's already publicly posted in the federal courts. And that's the crazy thing about the sheriffs, is that they already lost the default judgment. They already have. So it's very bizarre that the sheriffs are still harassing me or kidnapping me, because they have some of the most liability in this situation, which I've tried to explain them. Like, I know that you guys think you're doing your job, but you're actually getting yourself in a lot of trouble.
So the sheriffs are holding you. People feel like they're just doing their job, but they're not. But what is your reaction when people see your paperwork, like the staff there?
Well, it's just like what the United States Marshals and the probation officer did, when I point out that there's no signature on the warrant and they see the evidence right in front of them, they go quiet because they already have the liability. They've already broken the law. And so I guess their training is to just not speak any further so that they can't be, anything they say can and will be used against them, right?
So this is crazy, and people have an obligation to do something. If you
Yeah.
uphold the law and somebody's being held and they have no signature, no proper valid warrant, they know that they're holding you, and this is kidnapping, forcible confinement, a whole lot of charges.
Yeah.
The question is where are people going to enforce this? Because this.
Yeah, I mean, I had already written this to the president, the vice president. I had sent it to Pam Bondi, who's the United States Attorney General. I've put all the evidence that I can put out there. I have many friends that are actually getting evidence together and they're sending it to make sure it's on the public record. So I don't really know what's the point of continuing this, but I guess it will all come to a head eventually.
Well, the whole point is that you're not going to just hand this to somebody and expect them to do something without a lot of resistance, because the people here that they're connected to, they're going to want to protect themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to get a lot of pushback. What people need to do is people need to take this and take it to the people that are involved with this, and they need to start pushing back at them in the elected officials.
So I did actually notify, like probably an hour before they unlawfully kidnapped me. I notified the mayor, who's an elected official. I notified the city attorney. I notified any elected council members for the city of San Diego. And so I believe it was a little bit of retaliation by them, because I know I notified them right before they did this. I also served a cease and desist upon the district attorney, the probation, and the public defender's office within an hour before they kidnapped me for this.
But you did this by yourself, right?
I had a process server serve them.
Yes, but I mean, you were basically doing it by yourself, and that's the issue.
Yes.
You can't do these things by yourself. You need groups of people. And groups of people to make things like this public so that they can see what's going on. Because if you go by yourself, it's designed to pick you off one by one. People need to start getting together, because it's not going to stop at you. It's not going to stop at anybody else who's being abused. It's going to continue. And people have to start sitting down and looking at the reality of the matter and sit down and say, well, do I want this to be me? Because if you don't do anything, it will be you, right?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons they're retaliating so hard in my situation, is because I have such a large social media following. And so when I speak and have told the story, it's rather influential, and people really get spirited about it. And they really are like, wow, this is a serious problem. And so when I finally shared the story of how I was held in here without bail, without due process, with no evidence, only evidence to prove my absolute innocence, for longer than was even lawfully allowed for them to hold me in here. And that post went viral. I think it's putting pressure on some of the people that are doing this, because they then want to retaliate, take me out, silence me again, so that nobody knows the truth of what's going on.
Yes, but this is where you need a lot more people. You need hundreds of thousands of people, and people need to start doing this locally in all of their areas, because you're watching a systematic problem with the judicial system and the corruption. And the reason why this tyranny has gotten this far is because of the judges. When you're trying to put down and stop people from exercising their rights and protecting their rights, you have to go ahead and control the court system. And this is what you're seeing. 100%.
Well, they're not actually. So the ones sitting on the bench in San Diego in the state level or municipal level, they're actually not judges, they're attorneys. And they, because of that, are now just acting as court agents for their tribunals. And anyone who sort of speaks up, or even like the sheriffs, aren't actually, they're policy enforcers. Everything that they do, the sheriffs is in all capital, officers, all of that. They're not actually behaving like a republic. They're not actually lawful. They're working as policy enforcers for a private corporation. And when people like I know that, I think that they don't want anyone else to know that.
Yes, but it doesn't matter whether you're a company man or not. Nobody's exempted from treason. You can't sit down and just destroy somebody's country and take
Yeah.
away all of their liberties and say, well, oh, it's my corporate policy. No, that's still a capital offense. And
Especially because I'm not a corporate employee and I actually have diplomatic immunity at this point because I've updated everything on my end with the State Department. So this is like an actual political attack towards me because they know that my paperwork has been fixed and they're just doing it anyways.
well, company employer or not, you can't do this to people. Like, it's just criminal activity. It's like anybody who has a business. Can you go ahead and abuse your employees? Can you go ahead and just start like killing them for profit or stealing their children? No, this is nonsense, right? Regardless of
I think they tend to act on the belief that that people are acquiescing or agreeing with it. But then when you're somebody like me and you don't acquiesce or agree, like they'll pull you around, they'll torture you, they'll starve you, they'll do all that type of stuff. So then they put you under an extreme amount of duress.
So they try to do this because they want to deter other people from doing this. So if they punish you, then they allow you to go into that situation. This is why when I look at the situation, I mean, I face a lot of punishment for doing this, and I'm like, too bad. You have to kill me first, because there's no way it's going to stop, because what are you going to do? Steal children, take away people's rights, and make them slaves? No. Like, this is wrong, but people have to sit down and actually do something. So tell me, what are your conditions? Can you kind of slide over because your face is half?
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah. Can you tell me what the conditions you're in the prison?
So right now I'm supposed to be in a lower classification, but they have me in a disciplinary dorm. So they're enacting a cruel and unusual punishment, and they're not allowing me to have face-to-face visits. They're making sure that we're locked down almost 24 hours a day. And this is all a personal retaliation because I know too much, I guess. And so I have tried speaking to classifications. I've had friends calling the watch commander. Anybody, and this is something you could advocate for other people in San Diego or do as well, but calling the watch commander and letting him know that people out there are aware of the cruel and unusual punishment, that it's not acceptable, it's not okay. I have incredible behavior. I'm a wonderful, kind woman. I'm highly educated. I've never been violent in my life. They have no reason to put me in a disciplinary dorm. I've already served more time for the charge that they're trying to come after me than they could even lawfully give me. So it's just a retaliation.
Well, it's like Tina Peters, the county clerk in Colorado. They put her in jail for following the law and exposing the issues with the elections and so forth. And they put her in jail for like 1.5 years. So this is where we're sitting down in a situation where something has to be done.
Yeah.
You can't sit down and allow these kinds of crimes to continue, because they're only going to get worse.
Hey, I'll give it to the sheriffs for even letting me do this call. So I'll give it to them. And also, I have heard from friends on the outside that there are certain sheriffs who have gone to bat for me in the last couple of days, who have defended me, who have spoke kindly about me. So I will give them some credit that there are some good women that work in this jail and that are really telling the truth and advocating. And so I do want to give them some credit for that.
Well, yes, and nobody's saying that all of the people there are bad, but I'm saying the people that are actually in their homes, the average citizen, the average man and woman that are in there, they have to get up and do something, because yes, there are law enforcement that want to do their jobs.
Yeah.
But what are they doing? They're getting blocked by people because they're getting pressure from the top down. Like, I mean, I dealt with this here with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. There's good ones and there's bad ones, and then there's guys that are in power that are giving the bad ones more license to do what they're doing. So what do we have to do? The people that are sitting in their houses, they need to get up and start doing something. This is your country, and you need it for your children.
I will say there's even been a couple good judicial officers along the way that you can tell did not want to have any part of this. They didn't want to abandon their judicial canons, and they either refused to be on the case or when they were on there treated me fairly. But the ones that they found to continue this abusive cycle, they abandoned their judicial canons. They are retaliatory. They're just willing to do whatever, I guess, in order to move up the ladder.
Well, whatever the case is, that will remain to be seen, but what we're looking at is the actions that they're taking that are causing this thing to happen. and those are crimes, and they need to figure out what needs to be done. And first things that need to start to happen is that these judges need to be pulled off the bench, because they need to stop putting people in prison unlawfully.
Yeah.
They need to stop stealing people's kids, and
Yep.
so forth. So, have you been able to have contact with any of your children?
Only my youngest two that are from a different marriage. Actually, the day before, well, they pulled me in here and I ended up missing the family court hearing that I had scheduled and worked so hard for, that was going to allow me to finally see my children again. I will give that judicial officer a little bit of credit, because when I was not there and unable to advocate, she did say she wanted to hear the truth from my daughter. Now, if she's being honest, I'm not sure, because she still let my ex-husband go on the record and speak without me there. So that's ex parte communication, and I'm pretty upset about that. She should have never allowed that. She should have waited for me to be back there so that I could advocate for my son and daughters. But I will give her the benefit of the doubt that she did say she needs to actually hear my daughter's voice and hear what's going on.
Well, that's good, but you know, at the end of the day, somebody needs to make the right decision to keep you out of prison, because, like, I've seen this happen, and this is too much, right?
I think it's the district attorney at this point. Like, I said if anybody knows the truth, to reach out to that district attorney, because the district attorney does have the power at this point to drop these false charges. She's aware that they're false. She knows that she doesn't have delegation of authority. She's been served a cease and desist. And I think it's really on her at this point to do the right thing. She knows that little girls are being harmed by this. She knows that my whole family, a whole group of women are actually being harmed by this. And she's a woman herself, and yet she's continuing this.
Well, yes, and I mean, what we need to do is to find out everybody who's involved so this can stop, because this is really bad, what's going on with people. And I know, I know that we're coming a little bit up on time. I know they take a few minutes off because you didn't get to go right away. But what do you want to say to people? What do you want, like, what can you say to people?
I mean, at this point, I really need to get the word out there. Hopefully before my court date on Thursday. I think the sheriffs need pressure on them, because they are unlawfully holding me, and they need to know that people in the community are aware of that. I think the district attorney needs pressure on her. The people are aware that a little girl is being harmed, that to my two little girls are being harmed, to my son, and that she's sitting by and aiding and abetting this kidnapping that's taking place. So I think it's just going to come down from pressure from people. Also, the fact that I do have diplomatic immunity and they're just violating that completely. I know that there's many people in California that are fighting hard to try to, like, restore the republic and actually have fair trials and a fair process. And I really appreciate those people that are doing that.
Okay, well, I'll be reaching out to some people when we're done here in California to let them know about what's going on, because this is unconscionable. This should never happen to anybody. I feel like very sorry about your situation, and I was, hoping that we could have got something done earlier, but I mean, now you're back in jail, because I mean, you should be with your family and with your kids and stuff like that, not being put in this position.
Yeah, I deserve to be with my sons and daughters, and they deserve to be with me. And there is no law that has been broken. There's nothing that has happened that should prevent that from happening. And in fact, the man that has raped me and harmed my daughter should be the one that is dealing with this type of situation, and not using his contacts in the military to punish me any further.
Well, and this is something I hate to say that happens too much, is that women are getting raped in these situations, and they're making it worse. And this has got to stop. Quickly before you go, I'm going to pray with you.
Thank you.
All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day, and watch over Eleanor and her children, and help her to get out of prison, and help people to come out and support her, that they would do what is right to stop this wickedness and this evil from happening, and bless her children and keep them safe. And Father, I ask of you this day to get the men the courage to stand up, that they would stand with the women and rebuild their families, their churches, their community, and their nation, that we could have some safety for the children. It's my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Dale. And I really appreciate you calling me and getting the word out there. I definitely am amazed that the sheriffs let this call go through, and I'm very thankful to them, whoever is on my side in letting that happen. And I hope that you can get the word out there, and I can be out of here soon.
I will definitely do whatever I can. I will be talking to people today because you shouldn't be here.
I do have a writ of habeas filed that's Ballester versus Hallahan, and then also Ballester versus Kelly A. Martinez. Both of them are on the federal court, the public record, and can be found and should be ruled on soon. So.
Okay, well, hopefully those go through quickly. They're in what, the federal court?
Yeah, the United States District Court for the Southern District of California.
Okay, so people can go and look that up and be able to
Yes.
get that. And so take care of yourself, and hope everything goes well in the court